Εγώ, αν θέλει να σου πω, αν ζούσα στη Γερμανία του 1933, θα ήμουν μέλος του Αντιπροσωπευτικού Κόμματος και θα αισθανόμουν ιδιαίτερα χαρούμενος για αυτό. Ο στρατηγικός απότερος στόχος είναι να πάρουμε την εξουσία. Έτσι. Και όταν πάρουμε την εξουσία, σημαίνει να καταργήσουμε την δημοκρατία. Μετά τη Βαϊμάρη, ξέρετε τι ακολούθησε. Λοιπόν, για κάτι τέτοιο αγωνιζόμαστε και εμείς στην Ελλάδα. Άλλοι στη Θεσσαλονίκη πήρανε το τρενάκι. Και πήγαν ταξιδάκι. Ένα ωραίο μαγευτικό ταξίδι σε ένα πανέμορφο τοπίο για χειμερινές διακοπές με ψηλές καμινάδες. Στο βάθος, λέει, του στρατοπέδου υπήρχαν τα κτίρια με τις ψηλές καμινάδες όπου απολάμβαναν τις μεταφυσικές τους εμπειρίες. Για κάτι τέτοιο αγωνιζόμαστε και εμείς στην Ελλάδα.
Okay. 2 weeks ago, there was a seminar given at the Greek community of Melbourne by Dr. Violeta Chionido on famine and hunger in occupied Greece, which highlighted that the nation lost about 5% of its population after the Nazi-inspired invasion of Greece and its aftermath. That's close to 500,000 souls. It's quite ironic that an alleged Greek patriotic organization can be inspired by these Nazi ideals of xenophobia, racism, and intolerance. The short video that was played depicts the true nature of Golden Dawn. Golden Dawn leader Nikolaos Michaloliakos openly expresses his support for Hitler. Laughingly, he mentions that we all know what followed after the collapse of the Weimar Republic in 1933, the rise of Nazi Germany, and we, as Golden Dawn, would like to pursue something similar. And then he continues, gleefully talking about the emptying of Thessaloniki, with some people going on these majestic train rides through beautiful countryside to camps with impressive chimneys and smokestacks, basically giving the blessing to Nazi Germany's attempts to exterminate the Jewish community of Thessaloniki. Sadly, this is the true nature of the political party that attracted the votes of tens of thousands of Greek voters, but also had its sympathizers in Greeks living in the diaspora. That the party has been convicted as being a criminal organization by the Athens Appeals Court is a verdict long overdue. Someone who has closely been following this trial has been Professor Dimitris Christopoulos from Pantheon University. He's also well known to some Greek Australian audiences after his visit to Australia last year. Tonight's seminar is a joint effort. It's jointly sponsored by the Greek communities of both New South Wales and Victoria. And I would like to thank tonight's sponsor, Thanasi Salachas. Also, just letting you know, for those who registered through Zoom, at the end of this seminar, I will be putting a request for questions, so you can use the chat function to pose any questions to the speaker. But before I want to introduce Dimitri and tonight's topic, I will switch over to Theo Marcos, the Vice President of the Greek Community of Melbourne, to say a few words and convey his greetings. Theo, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Nico. Well, on behalf of the Greek Community of Melbourne, may I say how glad we are to have for one more time with us, albeit remotely, Dimitris Christopoulos, a renowned academic on issues of human rights and a good friend of the community. Many of us were lucky enough to attend a series of lectures that were delivered by Dimitri and another well-known academic, Costa Karpozylo, last September, which were received here in Melbourne with great acclamation. They spoke on issues such as human rights, minorities in Greece, Greek activists in the diaspora, as well as many other things. So thank you, Dimitri, for giving us some of your valuable time tonight to speak about Golden Dawn, the trial and the day after. And of course, I must thank and congratulate my fellow traveller, board member and close friend Nico Dalla for the amazing work he has done over this challenging COVID period to continue presenting a brilliant series of seminars online with renowned international and local speakers. Nico heads a team of volunteers who amongst them are people like Anthea, Lena, Chrysula, Dimitra and others who for the past 10 years have been helping out in putting together a fantastic series of lectures that have really enlightened and educated all of us. I'm also proud and honoured that Nico, together with other board members such as Spiro Papadopoulos, Vassos Angelis, Taskardelis and others, form part of the education subcommittee here at the GOCMB. These lectures and education events don't just happen. And I'm sure that my good friend and Vice President of Sydney, Nia Kateris, who hopefully is online watching this seminar, will vouch for that. It takes passion, commitment, a social conscience, and a strong work ethic. And Nico possesses all of these qualities. And returning, however, to tonight's topic, let my final remarks be a quote by a great Greek composer, Mano Hadzidaki, a quote that was sent to me by an old friend of mine who says, and apologies to those who don't speak Greek, ο πατριωτισμός των φασιστών έχει τόσο σχέση με την πατρίδα, όσο σχέση μπορεί να έχουν με τον πατριωτισμό τα άλογα, επειδή συμμετέχουν στις παρελάσεις. Over to you, Nico.
Thank you, Theo. Earlier this month, an Athens court sentenced the leaders of Greece's Golden Dawn party to 13 years in prison, a week after declaring the neo-fascist party a criminal organisation in a landmark verdict that wrapped up one of the most important political trials in the country's modern era. The trial lasted 5 years and was also tied to a string of other attacks, including the stabbing of rapper Pavlos Pistis. Around 50 people were convicted, including the Golden Dawn leadership, and they received sentences of various lengths of time. Our speaker tonight will appraise this verdict. What does it mean and what's the implications on Greece's political landscape? Is it the death knell for far-right organisations in Greece, or is it just a temporary interlude before we see them rise again? We are very privileged to have with us tonight, all the way from Athens, Professor Dimitris Christopoulos, to share his views and analysis. Dimitri, καλησπέρα από εμάς και καλημέρα σε σένα. What I personally admire about Dimitri is that he's a public intellectual, a dying breed these days. Dimitri has been teaching at the Department of Political Science and History at Pandora University in Athens, but is also an activist, always on the front lines, always prepared to intervene in public policy and debate. On issues of human rights, migration, minorities, citizenship, Dimitris is often the go-to person for Greek international media. Never one to shy away from a just cause, Dimitris is the Emeritus President of the International Federation of Human Rights and also past chairman of the Hellenic League for Human Rights, the biggest and oldest Greek human rights association. We're deeply honoured to have him with us tonight, especially at such short notice, and look forward to hearing his thoughts. Dimitri, έχεις το λόγο.
Ευχαριστώ πολύ, Νίκο. Thank you very much. I cannot hide my pleasure and my honor to be back with you, as I was actually there last year, these days, and to pay my tribute and my respect to your activities. I think you're doing a marvelous job, and for this job, I think the Greek diaspora and the Greek community of Australia has reasons to be proud of it. I will, and I'm very happy to contribute with my work to your work. So I'll take the floor as you asked for, let's say half an hour, I guess, and then I'm open to your questions and any remarks from the audience. I will start by giving the historical background of the emergence of the Golden Dawn. Then I will move to the triggering events of its political development of the last years. Then I will say a few words about the Golden Dawn strategy, the political strategy of the Golden Dawn over the before the death of Pavlos Pistis. And then I will speak about the trial, the verdict of the trial, and the day after the trial. So that is what I'm going to speak about. This will be the 6 points of my lecture. So allow me to start actually taking the floor from where you left it, Nico and Theo. Many wonder how is it possible that a Nazi movement became so popular in Greece, a country that suffered so much during the occupation under the SS and the Gestapo rule. Yet, in Greece, not everyone was a partisan of the resistance. There were also those who collaborated with the Nazis, who staffed the mechanism of the national army, who staffed the security battalions, the tagmata asfalias, as we say. And this is what actually Michalogliakos was talking about when he said we are the seed of the defeated of 1944. Yes, they are the seed of the defeated of 1944, but yet the strategy of the Golden Dawn over the last years was to transform from the defeated of 1944 to the winners of 1949. That was the main objective of Golden Dawn. A small group, a marginal group of Nazis, the seed of the defeated of 1944, wanted to transform itself to the seed of the victory over the Greek communism in 1949, which means that they were claiming, they were challenging a leading role within the Greek conservative camp, the Greek conservative domain of politics. So what is the historical background of that? The historical background of this emergence, of this development is exactly in the fact that during the 20th century, the far right was not something unknown in Greece. From the years of the 20s and the 30s, where you have anti-Semitic organizations, 3 Epsilons in Thessaloniki, challenging the role of the Greek authorities, until the 40s, where you have the security battalions collaborating with the Nazis in their victory over the Greek communists and the Greek national resistance. Of course, the Greek civil war and the aftermath of the civil war, we have always a consolidated camp, consolidated, it's not always a political party, but consolidated field of ideas which are fed by fascism or even Nazism or by Greek nationalism, η ελληνική εθνικοφροσύνη, as we all say, which of course ethnicofrosini is not, it does not correspond by no means to Nazism or fascism, but against the communist threat, and this is where we have to be clear and we have to be, let's say, honest with that. When it comes to a communist threat against the Greek nationalism, ethnicofrosini, then the ethnicofrosini has no objections to collaborate even with the Nazis in order to save the game from the communists. So this is the historical background which explains the fact why Golden Dawn, a party which was created in the 80s as a political magazine of Nazi content and was transformed to a political party again in the last decade of the last century, in the 90s, this explains the fact how Golden Dawn actually became popular, not that much in Athens or in Thessaloniki, particularly in Athens, which is the Greek city suffering, in brackets, more from the migrants issue. But Golden Dawn became extremely popular in the regions of Greece that had a long-standing history as bastions of the most black, of the most conservative political ideology of collaboration with the Nazis and so on. That is why you had strong Golden Dawn in Laconia, in Sparti, you had in Argolida, in Argos, you had in Corinthos, you had in Kilkis, and so on. So these are regions that have nothing to do with migrations. These are regions that do not bother about migrants. Actually, these are places where migrants are absolutely integrated within the market, exactly because they work, so they bother nobody. But yet Golden Dawn was always present there and was far more strong there and consolidated than other parts of Greece where migration was a vocal topic, a hot topic in the political agenda. So the main reason for the emergence of the Golden Dawn is history. We cannot escape from history. History is there to haunt us, and we have our history, and we have to deal with this history. We have to think about it, and we have to take our distances from it, yet to understand what was happening in Greece during the 20th century. Tomorrow, in a week from now, we are going to be celebrating the 28th of October, which is the victory of the Greek struggle against the Italians. Yet we need to know that after the 28th of October, a considerable part of our fellow citizens, co-citizens, have collaborated with the fascists. And this should not be hidden and should not be camouflaged under some ideas about the supremacy of both the Greek nationhood and the Greek struggle against fascism. Yes, the biggest part of the Greek people fought against the fascists, yet there had been a minority, a strong minority, who collaborated with the fascists in order to save the country from the communist threat. And this went on until 1974. That was not a historical accident. That was a symptom of the Greek division of the 20th century. And Golden Dawn is a symptom of this division. The second reason for the development of the Golden Dawn is the fact that these ideas, which traditionally belong to the far-right family of political parties in Greece, were shared by a wider spectrum of political ideologies. So nationalism is not something which belongs exclusively to the far right in Greece, in the sense that, of course, far right has the trademark of nationalism, yet Greek nationalism is widespread everywhere from all the political parties. I mean, even from Demokratia to PASOK, and in our days, I could say we have a strong nationalist opposition even within Syriza from time to time. So in that sense, anti-Semitism, the idea that the Jews are not friends of the Greek people, homophobia, nationalism, sexism, racism, these are patterns who are not strictly confined within the far-right political camp in Greece. These are political ideas which have well contaminated more than the far-right in Greece. They are banal political ideas. They are ideas with which every Greek feels familiar with. This actually, that is the banalization of the far-right. That was the main strategy of Jean-Marie Le Pen, the father of Marine Le Pen, the founder of the National Front in France, which was actually he was following a double strategy. When the very moment he was trying to construct his party, the same moment he was exporting ideas of his party to the neighbor political parties, and particularly the right. This is what legalized, this is what made the party's idea more welcomed and more easily to be absorbed by the political establishment in France, which is exactly what happened in Greece. And why it happened in Greece? What are the triggering events of the emergence of the Golden Dawn in the 19th and the first decade of the 20th century? The triggering events is exactly the fact that the Greek political class, the Greek political elites, were ready to absorb the main ideas of Greek nationalism, which was promoted in the most vocal and the most atrocious way by Golden Dawn, because of the fact that Greek nationalism in the 90s has found an issue which allowed the Nazis to be present in the Greek politics. And what was this issue? This issue was the extremely sensitive for the Greek nation issue of the name of the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia. The rallies for the name Macedonia were the first rallies where the Golden Dawn members demonstrated among the other parties, among Nea Demokratia, PASOK, and so on, which meant that these were people among us. It was the first time that we felt that Nazis belonged to the same political family and claiming the same thing as we did. When I say we did, the majority of the Greeks. And this gave a vital space for the Golden Dawn in order to breathe in the normal air of Greek politics, to allow the Golden Dawn to be present and to show that we are among you, we are one of you. That was something extremely important for the Golden Dawn, and therefore I guess that the Greek political elites today owe a self-critique, a very serious self-critique for having allowed the Golden Dawn members to enter inside the Greek mainstream political discourse of nationalism through the issue of the name of the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia, today Northern Macedonia. The second triggering event is the fact that, of course, which is not a Greek particularity at all, is the European failure to deal with migration, the European answers to migration, the European restrictions to migration, and the well-spread popular discourse of xenophobia, which is again not a Greek particularity, but it's everywhere in Europe, from France to England to Sweden and Norway, Germany, Central Europe, Italy, and so on. So migration, as you know, is a major threat for the European security today, is conceived as a threat. I have to be more clear with that. And therefore, this is an issue that leaves an open space for the far right to develop its strategies and its discourse of xenophobia and racism. Coming again to the Greek politics, I have to remind you that one of the major events, sorry for that. One of the major events of our century was the political events of our century was the participation of Laos Party, which was a Greek populist nationalist party created by Giorgos Karatzaferis in the Greek government of 2011. The participation of Laos, of Giorgos Karatzaferis party, which was not a Nazi party, it was a populist nationalist party in the Greek government, was something extremely important for Karatzaferis, was a part of his strategy to become the government, but it was his last word. After that, he vanished. So after the disappearance of Laos, the road was open for Golden Dawn. So we had Laos as a party which became a party of the system. The very moment that Laos becomes a systemic party in 2011, it was the moment for this party to disappear and for Golden Dawn to emerge as the basic political party of the far right in Greece. In 2012 elections, Golden Dawn gets 440,000 votes, which is already something extremely important for Greek politics. We have Golden Dawn, a pariah party representing 0.03% in the former elections until 2007. We have a party corresponding to a 7% of the Greek electorate, which is something completely outstanding for most of the political analysis of the time. So the Greek political and economic crisis, which led to a delegitimization of the Greek political elites, a feeling of disgrace vis-a-vis the political class of the country, the participation of Laos at the Greek government, the Macedonian issue, and of course, the permanent conceived threat of migrants in Greece and Europe. This is what brings the beast to re-emerge again in the historical circumstances we have been discussing. This is the main situation where we're in. This is the main. This is where we stand in 2012, 2013. Allow me now. I wanted to share a video with you that I sent to Nikos just before the seminar. Nico, are we going to be able to play the video for 2-3 minutes?
Yes, we will soon. Costa, can we launch the video, please? Yeah.
So this is Panagiotis, number 2-3 in the Golden Dawn, who gives an interview at the BBC in 2013, where he speaks of the Golden Dawn strategy of tension. And therefore, afterwards, I'm going to address the issue of the Golden Dawn strategy of tension. Please.
Revolution in this country is going to take place in the coming or after 2 elections by giving Golden Dawn first place. Now we are third, everybody's saying so, and maybe we're going to hit for the second place. So it's not a dream that in few years, in very few years, coming in 1, 2, 3 years, we're going to be the first political party. And then we will have all means, unless international, everyone in the world will make us illegal. Who knows? Maybe NATO is going to invade Greece. I don't know what.
But
until then, Greeks can't walk out of their houses, especially in center of Athens and some major cities. They are attacked by, forget the Greek state that is attacking them all the time with taxes, with their salaries going down, with no jobs, with all these problems. We have this huge problem with safety from all these illegal immigrants. Killing, raping, stealing, smashing, robbing, doing everything. And
Why don't
on
let-
the same
why don't you
time,
let the
the Greek
police
state,
deal with that?
and on the same time, the Greek state is doing absolutely nothing. They're doing nothing. We have hundreds of incidents, thousands of incidents of Greeks being stolen, robbed, stabbed, raped, killed for nothing.
And in return,
the worst,
Mr.
I will
Mr.
come in return.
Yeah. So,
And
but
the worst part
you
is,
are carrying out a campaign of violence and intimidation
No.
against migrants. You are.
no.
So you're not.
We are.
Either you are or you're not.
Listen. I'm telling you, we are telling that they are illegal, and they must immediately leave this country. Since the Greek state is doing nothing for many reasons, we can explain them. Greek people have to protect themselves. Nowadays, we're not talking about some normal days in Greece. We are in civil war, and people who don't see this, they're like, how we call these animal, Noi, the one that put in the head.
The GNU.
GNU.
Head in the sand. The
Head in the
ostrich.
sand. We have tens of attacks by anarchists in police stations, with Molotov bombs, with guns, with shooting, this, that, policemen being dead, so on and so forth. Same thing happening to our offices. We have more than 24, 25 bomb attacks, I think, that we've lost the counting. A lot of our members every day are being attacked, and no one is speaking about this, all over Greece, and they end up in hospital.
It's quite a difficult word to use, civil war, though, isn't it? This country had one.
Listen, no, it was not exactly
The
civil
country
war,
had a civil war.
but now you see, we have illegal immigrants making demonstrations, illegal demonstrations being supported by left-wing and anarchists, and members of the parliament supporting them in court or in the police station where they have to go. So this Greek society is ready, even though no one likes this, Greek society is ready to have a fight, a new type of civil war. On the one side, there will be, let's say, nationalists like us and Greeks who want our country to be as it used to be. And on the other side, there will be illegal immigrants and anarchists and all those who have destroyed Athens several times in Greece.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think that is the most revealing interview ever given by any Golden Dawn member, where they speak openly about what's their political objective. So what he said is that we are ready for a second civil war in the country. From the one side, it's us, nationalists, and on the other side, we have migrants and anarchists. On the other side, he does not put bankers and the classic political enemies of Golden Dawn, but he puts the anarchists and the migrants, because he knows that these are the most, these are the ones that the Greek public opinion does not like, migrants and anarchists. So actually, how we are going to achieve this civil war situation? Through escalating violence. This is the classic strategy of the Italian far right, which was used already in the 50s and the 60s with the collaboration of the Italian secret services, the strategy of tension, escalating tension in order to have the answer of the political opponent, and then escalate the violence in order to react to the already violent answer of the political opponent. This strategy of tension was the one which has been carefully articulated and selected by the Golden Dawn after the 2012 elections, where Golden Dawn had, for the first time in its history, a parliamentary group. How is it possible for such a party to exist in the first place? I've spoken many times with Austrian, German colleagues who were wondering how on earth is it possible for such a party openly advocating violence, openly having, battalions of raid, security, tagmata efodou, as we say in Greece, people exercising violence against migrants, against homosexuals in the streets of Athens, openly wearing the Golden Dawn t-shirts. How on earth is it possible for such a party to be legal? That is first a question to be answered. What makes this party legal is again the Greek history. As we all know, until 1974, there has been one major political party which was banned in Greece, and that was the Greek Communist Party, for reasons that have to do with Greek history and that we all know. After the end of the dictatorship, the main decision which was taken during the elaboration of the 1975 constitution of this country was to let's say, was not to allow party banning. At the time, the memories were so fresh of the banning of the Communist Party that the major effort was done in order to create a political system which will be tolerant vis-a-vis all political parties. And this tolerance was expressed in Article 29 of the Greek Constitution, which is the legal basis of the existence of the political parties. And therefore, according to this article, in Greece, all parties can function legally to the extent that they function in favor of democracy, yet there is no rule, there is no law which allows banning of political parties that do not function for democracy. This is what differentiates Greece from a big number of Western democracies and republics such as Austria and Germany, where we have laws who will easily forbid the functioning of a party such as the Golden Dawn. So the Golden Dawn actually abused or misused the particular generosity of the Greek Republic and used this tolerance in order to create a political party, which actually it was never a political party. Right from the beginning, it is what today the court acknowledged, a criminal organization. A criminal organization which was identical as a structure to the head of the political party. So in the European political history, we are all familiar with political organizations and parties who function next to criminal organizations or to terrorist organizations. You have the case of Henri Batasuna, the Basque political party in France, which had a section of a military, which was the ETA. We have Sinn Féin in Ireland, which was functioning next to IRA. We have several Kurdish political parties in Turkey, which were functioning next to the PKK, and so on and so on. Here, we do not have a party, a political party, which is functioning next to a criminal organization. We have the fusion of the political party and the criminal organization. One head, one leader, one Führer, one organization, one structure, a double structure. A criminal organization disguised in political party. This is what is the Greek particularity. This is the particularity of the Golden Dawn. And as such, this particularity, due to the fact that we had a Greek republic, which is by definition generous with the existence of political parties, allowed the Golden Dawn to reach 2020 and only to be banned today with a delay of 30 years. On the one hand, we have this generosity, which is explained by the 1975 constitution. But on the other hand, we had again this historical background. We have this history of the Greek deep state, the Greek parastate, the Greek parakratos, as we all know. So these were mechanisms inside the state apparatus, which were functioning in close cooperation with the Greek far-right movements and so on. So we knew already that the Golden Dawn had synergies within the Greek police. The polling stations where the Greek police was voting in the 2012 and 2014 elections gave to Golden Dawn multiplied numbers compared to the average Golden Dawn got in the Greek elections at the time. But we have also, as we very well know, priests and bishops praying for Golden Dawn. We have the Archbishop, we had the Bishop of Kalavrita, who was openly for Golden Dawn. We have the Bishop of Piraeus, we have the Bishop of Thessaloniki, openly welcoming Golden Dawn during this year. And of course, we have in the Greek justice, in the Greek judiciary system, a consolidated team of an enclave of Greek prosecutors who share some of the ideas of the Golden Dawn members, as we see today with the prosecutor at the Golden Dawn trial. So we have this history which allowed the Golden Dawn to be absorbed, to a certain extent by the Greek deep state mechanisms. You know, the far right extremism cannot function against the state. It needs the state to function under its shade. It is not like the extreme left extremism fighting against the state. The far right extremism needs the state to be sheltered in, needs the state to hide in, and it can only function in cooperation with these enclaves within the deep state. And that's why we see today, when the Golden Dawn was dismantled after the trial, they do not have the moral courage, they do not have the guts to stand and say that we did that for our principles. They did not do what the communists were doing in the 40s and the 50s in Greece, but they sit down like small anthroparia, like innocent people praying for pity. And this, of course, does not correspond to the image of the Führer, the strong man, etc., etc. One of them actually asked the sympathy of the court by saying that he likes dogs and he likes cats and he was married to the same women twice and so on. So this strategy of tension, and I'm going to the second and last part of my intervention. This strategy of tension, I will please ask you to put the questions at the end. Allow me to finish. It will only take 10 minutes and then we will move to the questions. This strategy of tension is a very risky one, however. You can lose the tension. While escalating the tension, you might arrive to a situation that you're not able to control the tension you're supposed to control. And this is what happened with Golden Dawn. This is what happened with Golden Dawn. In the arrogance of their victory of 2013, they lost the control of tension. And that is why they killed Phisas. They went too far and they lost the control. 10 days before the death of Phisas, a battalion of the Golden Dawn had visited Meligalas. Meligalas is a village, no, a small town in Messinia, in Peloponnesus, where the Greek traditional far right mourns the death of 1,000 Greeks by the battalions of Hellas in September 1944. This is considered to be, for the far right narrative, one of the major communist crimes of the 40s. So what the Golden Dawn did, so Kassidiaris, Panagiotaros, and most of them went there. Actually, they wanted to challenge the monopoly of this of the Greek far right. They said that you are traitors. We are the real children of these people who died and who were killed by the communists. And that was already a challenge for the Greek conservative party, for Nea Demokratia. It was the first time that Nea Demokratia felt the threat of Golden Dawn. Until then, Golden Dawn was threatening, anarchists, leftists, migrants, homosexuals, I don't know, marginal groups, and so on. It was the first time that Nea Demokratia felt the breath of Golden Dawn. And right after we had Phisas, and then the political establishment in Greece made the decision to finish with Golden Dawn. I have to say that I'm not proud of that, even though it has a good end today, because that has been a decision that should have been taken long ago. That is a decision that was taken only in 2013. We needed Pavlos Phisas, a Greek boy among our children, a Greek boy like our boys, to be sacrificed in the sake of Greek democracy. But we did not act, we did not mobilize when Golden Dawn killed Sanjak Lukman, a young Pakistani guy who was waking at the bakery at 4 o'clock in the morning only because he was a Pakistani. We did not mobilize when the Golden Dawn tried to kill the Egyptian fishermen. We did not mobilize when the Golden Dawn tried to kill communist trade unionists and so on. Yet, better late than never. We did what we had to do. The leadership of Nea Demokratia was involved in that, and that is a shame for the Greek judiciary. Instead of mobilizing on its own, they expected the dossiers and the files to be handled by the Minister of Justice, Nikos Dendias, at the time, to the Greek prosecutor. But as I said, better late than never, it started. And then the trial started. The trial took 5 years, 550 days of court sessions in order to point out what was already obvious for most of us, that the Golden Dawn was not a political party. It was a criminal organization which used the form of political party in order to hide and to do its business. A criminal organization with a very strong and firm hierarchy, according to the one-man principle, the Führer principle. The Führer in the case is Nikolaos Michaloliakos, and a party which was had as an idea the Nazi ideology, as you well shown at the beginning, Nico, with the videos where Michaloliakos expresses openly his admiration for Hitler and the achievement of the Nazi regime in the 40s. So this is actually what we knew. This is what the court decided, and this is what the court verdict is about. The Golden Dawn is condemned as a criminal organization according to Article 187 of the Greek Penal Code, an article which was introduced in 2001 by the Minister of Justice Nikos Stathopoulos, a Democrat professor of civil law. But this article was not used at the time having in mind Nazi organizations, but the far left terrorism, which was actually revealed a year after in 2002, November 17, as you all remember, and dismantled in the years that followed. So actually we used the judicial arsenal of the Greek Penal Code in order to finish with a party that should have never been accepted to be a party as such. To be honest with you, the reason why it took us 550 sessions of the court, of the Athens Appeal Court, in order to arrive to the conclusion in 2020 that Golden Dawn is a criminal organization, is that we waited for so long. It took us 30 years to arrive to the conclusion we should have arrived in 1995, 1996, at the very time when the Golden Dawn started to appear, trying to kill people, beating leftists, beating trade unionists, and so on. Already by then, we had I knew it at the time, journalists were speaking about it and so on. We knew that we have something which was quite peculiar. We do not have incidents of political violence which could be attributed to far-right groups, but we have an organized group which is implementing actions of political violence against its enemies. This is what the verdict is about today. It is something which in the eyes of many of us was evident, in the eyes of a big part of the Greek public opinion was very well visible, but in the eyes of the Greek judiciary was not visible, and therefore we have reasons to be proud of this verdict. We have reasons to be proud of the president, of the chairwoman of the court, as we have reasons to be ashamed about the prosecutor of the court, who even today insists to offer a suspension to the penalties of the leadership of the Golden Dawn on the grounds that they're not harmful anymore, and so on and so on. It is a prosecutor that actually does not function as prosecutors, as we know prosecutors, but actually functions as the defense of Golden Dawn, and that is something which might sound a surprise to many of us today. But if we look back at the history of the Greek prosecution, we see that fits very well in the mainstream patterns of the behavior of the Greek prosecution. So this lady today that offers suspension to the penalties of the leadership of the Golden Dawn a year ago had no problem to give 17 years of prison to a lady which was which presented a fake certificate before the Greek administration, and other crimes, well, petty crimes actually, but that is how it is. So I'm ending, and I mean, the fight is not over. We have the appeal, we have the second instance. Today or tomorrow we will have the decision of the court about the suspension of the penalties. I'm sure that the court will not accept the proposal of the prosecutor, at least for the 8 guys who are condemned as leadership of the organization. I think this is what I predict, that the 8 of them who have been found guilty for the crime of leading the organization will go to prison. The other will not go to prison, but it's a matter of hours or days to wait and see what will finally happen. We still have the second instance of the trial. We'll see how it will go on, but I think that already with this verdict we have reached something which is unique in the history of in the penal history of Greece and the penal history of Europe. It is the first time in the European penal history that we have a structure, a criminal structure, which abused the Greek constitution in order to function as a political party. This is what the Greek particularity is about, and this is what was revealed with the verdict of the court. The day after will not be easy. The struggle is always there. Of course, a decision of a court is necessary in order to deal with the far right in Greece. It is never enough. We have an open fight, an open struggle in the field of ideology, in the field of politics, in the social field, in the field of movements. And these are open fields, and we should be aware that we have to keep our eyes open, because victory is not enough in order to win the war. The war will not end. The war, not in the sense that Panagiotaros sent, but this conflict of ideas in the Greek society will always be present. This conflict of ideas will always be present, because unlike what a simplist, or if I say primitive moralist perception of Greek and European history teaches us, the far right is not an alien in our political legacy. The far right is a child of ours. It might be the worst child. It might be a child that we do not like to see. It might be a child that carries all our sins, but it is there. And we should not treat this child as a political alien, as a UFO in the Greek political history, feeling shame about its achievements. The Greek far right is a part of the Greek political history. The far right of Europe is a part of the European political history. As one famous British historian of our days, Mark Mazauer, mentions in the introduction of his latest book about the Europe as a dark continent, he says that Europe has always been along the laboratory of the most atrocious totalitarian political experiments. And that is why actually we are where we are today. We are in a situation in Europe where far-right political parties achieve the status of a mainstream parties in big parts of the European continent. Golden Dawn will not be one of them. They lost the game. They went too far in their strategy of tension. I don't know what will be after the Golden Dawn there. It might be a Silver Dawn. It might be another dawn. I don't know what comes after. But what is for sure is that the Greek Nazis and the Greek fascists, they took the message. And the message is that, Mr. Kasidiaris, you may well put your swastika on your shoulder as a tattoo. You might put 4 swastikas as tattoos on your body. You can do whatever you wish with your body. In our democracy, we're generous enough and tolerant to allow you to put swastikas over your body, but we are not tolerant, we are not stupid, we are not generous enough to allow you beat other people and kill other people in the name of your swastika. That was the message of the verdict. This is the political message of this historical decision, and this political message is there to guide our struggles in the future. Thank you very much.
Dimitri, thank you for that passionate presentation, and thank you for the political and historical insights that you made us aware of. The floor is now open to questions. They're coming in thick and fast. I might read them to you, and yeah, and you can also see them in the chat function. First question from Dimitris: of all of Greece's political leaders over the past 30 years,
Nick, your video is off.
Sorry, Costa. Okay, I'll start again. Question from
your video continues to be off, Nick.
Okay, sorry. Okay, apologies. Okay, take three. Of all of Greece's political leaders over the past 30 years, who do you think is the most responsible for allowing Golden Dawn and other right-wing extreme organisations to be present in the political system?
I do not want to personalize the answer because I do not believe that there is one single political leader who is responsible. If I say, for example, that the only xenophobic prime minister we had in Greece, Antonis Samaras, used to be the closest to the extreme right. In the same time, Antonis Samaras is the one who mobilized himself in order to get rid of the Golden Dawn. So Samaras is someone who was an open xenophobic prime minister, actually the only xenophobic prime minister we had in Greece after the end of the dictatorship. But in the same time, we have to acknowledge that he did his part and he sent the Golden Dawn to the Greek judiciary. So therefore, allow me to say that it's not a matter of personalities, it's a matter of a historical continuum that I try to explain, where a lot of political personalities, of course, had their responsibilities. Samaras had responsibilities. Everyone had all their own responsibilities, but there is not someone that should be exceptionally quoted for that.
A question here, Dimitris, from Melina. There's a lot of uncertainty at the moment due to COVID-19. Is this a strategy of tension used by other fascist groups? If so, how?
No, the uncertainty today with the COVID-19 is completely irrelevant to the policy of tension that I mentioned with the Golden Dawn. Obviously, we are living in an era of absolute uncertainty today, not only in Greece, but everywhere. I guess there you're in the same situation. Particularly today in Greece, it's one of the hardest days. Yesterday, we had 667 people affected by the virus, which is something already unknown for us. So we're going into the winter in a metaphorical way also. But the strategy of tension has nothing to do with that. Actually, there is nobody in Greece today playing the game of the strategy of tension. It was only the Golden Dawn, as you witnessed at the video I shared with you, where Panagiotaros speaks about this Greek civil war. And cross our fingers today, nobody is there in order to undertake such a contaminating leadership.
Okay. Got a question here from George. Thank you, Dimitri, for your presentation. I was wondering about the big elephant in the room called corruption and debt. Two related questions. Firstly, what part did the Nea Demokratia guilt for looting of public funds and the deficit in its decision to finish with Golden Dawn in 2013? And number two, isn't corruption a debt crisis kind of state failure that fueled public anger and sympathy for Golden Dawn, who seem to protect Greeks?
I'll start with the number two, which is something absolutely relevant. This is exactly the discourse of the Golden Dawn, a classic far-right discourse protecting the citizens from the contaminated and corrupted political elites, bankers, and so on. Yet, as you have seen, when Panagiotaros spoke about the civil war, he does not mention these elites. He only mentions anarchists and migrants. Okay, so you see that they have this double discourse which they're playing, and they were very good at that. So obviously, corruption, the state failure, the Greek crisis, the Greek political crisis, the Greek moral crisis that has succeeded the financial crisis are the triggering events of the Golden Dawn emergence in after 2010. And this is what they very well played, as we have seen in the video. So they're playing, they used to play exactly this state failure, which is to a certain extent true. As far as the first question, the corruption and the debt, I do not see any relation between corruption and debt management with the Golden Dawn arrest. I do not, or maybe I did not understand what was the question about, Nico.
We've got quite a few questions, so I'm just going to move on. One from Andonis. Gondonis and Lopakiotis, two ex-ministers of both parties, made some interesting statements that both parties are responsible for the court delay and prevented important legislation to give the criminal organization of Golden Dawn to get out the maximum penalties and deprive them from the right to participate in future political activities.
Okay, that is a highly important, and that is a question which is currently discussed in Greece today. This is what actually the former Minister of Justice of Syriza, Kondonis, said, that Golden Dawn will not have as severe penalties after the reform of the Greek Penal Code, which finished in 2019 with Syriza. No, Kondonis is not right. I have to tell you that the Greek Penal Code was an extremely parochial, extremely reactionary, old legal text, and Greece is a country where we had the most severe penalties from all the countries of the Council of Europe. And that is why the Greek judicial system has found many ways in the Greek procedural penal law in order to minimize these penalties. So I don't think that the problem lies with the fact that we changed the penal code, and these people do not have the maximum of the penalties. After all, for me, what is important is not to have the maximum of the penalty, but it's to have a penalty which will function and will be served. And that is what we're looking for today. There is an issue with the political rights, the right to elect and to be elected, particularly the second, to be elected today, because according to the Greek penal law, the decision of the first instance court is not enough to deprive the right to be elected. We need to go to the final jurisdictional control. We need to go to the cassation court, which will rule in order to have the possibility for the people who are found guilty for penal organization to be deprived of their right to be elected. This is not something which happened today. It has always been this way. So there is a big discussion about nothing today. What we need to do, and there is a legal gap there. We need to change our electoral law, not our penal law. We need to change our electoral law in order to introduce a provision according to which people who are found guilty at the court of first degree for participation and direction of a criminal organization lose their right to be elected or to be presented in the elections afterwards. And that will be enough. And this will take place soon. So I think we will not face this oxymoron, this paradoxical situation where Michaloliakos, incarcerated behind the bars of a prison, will be present at the elections with another political party at the Greek national forthcoming elections.
A question here. What do you think should happen? There's a small group of Golden Dawn members in Australia, especially in Victoria. What do you think should happen to them? And what advice do you have for Australian political leaders in combating extremist groups?
In the first place, I think that particularly when it comes to if there is a Golden Dawn structure there, I think that the prosecutor in charge has to be notified with that, has to be notified with the fact that the Greek court found guilty Golden Dawn as a criminal organization, and he should act accordingly. I think he has all rights to prevent the existence and the functioning of a criminal organization in South Wales. So I think it's up to any Australian citizen to notify to the Australian prosecutor the fact that this is not a political party. This party is found to be a criminal organization, and he should do what it takes in order to prevent the functioning of a criminal organization in Australia. About the second question, which is wider, of course, I stand for the idea, and I said that during the lecture, that democracy, as I said, is generous vis-a-vis its enemies. Democracy, it is tolerant vis-a-vis its enemies. Yet democracy is not foolish. So, as I said, you are a Nazi. We are not happy with that, but we will live with that. We allow you to read Mein Kampf before you go to sleep. We will allow you to draw your tattoos with the swastika wherever you want, but we will not allow your ideology to become a motivation of criminal organization of yours, which would be banned by the penal system. I think that is the line to go, and the Greek decision of the appeals court paved the way to such a line. It took us long, but as I said, better late than never. I do not stand for banning of all the activities of racist organizations and so on. So I know that this can be in a way problematic. I see that many of us could be annoyed by the existence and the functioning of racist groups and by the racist discourse of some of our compatriots. But I think we have to live with that. We have to live with the fact that a considerable part of our people are extreme rightists, are extremists, are fascists. But I think that the red line is not the ideology, is the actions motivated by this ideology. We cannot kill democracy in order to defend it.
Question from John. How does one deal with fascist and extreme right moles within the Greek state, that is prosecutors, security police, and so forth? Is there discussion taking place on how to expunge these elements, a bit like denazification that occurred in Germany after the war?
The cleansing of the state apparatus, it is a process that has well started, as we all know, after the end of the dictatorship. Yet it is a process which is yet unaccomplished. We have still enclaves of far-right wing ideologies everywhere in the Greek state, in the Greek police, in the Greek judiciary, in the Greek army, to a lesser extent, because the army has been cleaned much more than the other domains. And of course, we have the particular issue of the Greek Orthodox Church, which allows certain of its representatives and authorities to become to act as a Golden Dawn porte-paroles, if I might say. Yeah, that is what I see. I see that we have work to do here. I think that the most difficult domain is the judiciary, because the judiciary enjoys an absolute institutional autonomy and independence. But I think that such decisions work towards this direction, the direction of sending messages of cleansing the situation within the Greek state apparatus. So if we do the same thing in the Greek police, if for example, a Greek policeman is found guilty of abusing violence power against an immigrant and he loses his job, the policeman the day after who will start to do the same thing, he will think about it over and over. And he will not do it as easily as his colleague has done it. So I think it is a matter of sending a strong message of non-tolerance to such violence. If we do that, I think that the day after will be easier.
And shifting our attention to the US, where very important elections coming up, do you think this tactic of escalating tension and then escalating violence are the same tactics that are being used by extreme far-right groups in the US? And do you think Donald Trump is aiding and abetting these far-right extremists?
To be honest, I am not an expert in the US politics in order to give an answer with a certain intellectual authority on the matter. I know that a lot of colleagues are extremely skeptical with what will happen if Trump loses the elections. But I think that if there is one political leader in the Western world that plays with this escalation of tension today, is Donald Trump. The second is the Turkish Prime Minister, Erdogan, for completely different reasons each. But the fact that they admire each other shows that they're in the same group. And I'm actually extremely worried about the outcome of the next American elections and the reactions of Trump and his supporters. So, but I cannot say much more because I'm not familiar to an extent that will allow me to give you a more sophisticated answer.
Okay, Dimitri, I think we might sort of start finishing up very soon. Maybe one final question. Sadly, people have lost faith in democracy in some of our institutions, especially amongst the younger generation. How can we make people restore faith in democracy again? It's coming under question.
This is the $1 million question. I mean, with one. Listen, I will try to connect the answer to that with the coronavirus. And I will say the following, that what do we see today? We see next to the democratically elected rulers, we see technocrats occupying a very vital space within the mainstream political narratives and directions of our policies. I think that that is reasonable. We need these technocrats, we need scientists, but also we need a language that could be understood by the public. We do not want this dry language that a lot of our democratic rulers and technocrats are using, because this is the language that actually isolates them from the public. This is the language which does not permit the public to have a to inspire itself from democracy. We need a more passionate language. We need a language which will speak in the heart of the public. We need to speak of sovereignty. We need to speak of democracy. We need not only to speak of security, of effectiveness, and so on. We need to speak about the hardcore values of our political body. And after all, this is what it's all about. I mean, you cannot save democracy only in the name of some functionalist ideals and these, as I said, dry perceptions of political effectiveness. So I think that we need to revitalize democracy with this, with such narratives. Otherwise, we risk to lose the credit and the value of democracy in the eyes of many people. And if we lose that, then democracy becomes an easier target to its enemies, as the Golden Dawn.
Okay, thank you, Dimitri. I think we might bring proceedings to a close. Otherwise, we'll be here for several more hours. Again, really appreciate coming together to give this presentation at very sort of short notice. Keep up the good work that you're doing. Keep up the good fight, and we hope to be in touch very soon as well. And thanks once again for your time. Okay.
I thank you, and greetings to all of you here. And I think you're doing a wonderful work. Keep on working, Nico and the team. All my best.
Thank you, Dimitri.
Theo would like a word.
So.
Theo?
No, just wanting to thank Dimitri and thank Nick, and what a fantastic lecture. Well presented, and looking forward to seeing you in the flesh pretty soon. Dimitri may be in Greece in 2022. If all goes well.
Yeah, okay. All my best to the company there. My greetings. Bye.
Bye-bye.